Oh God. So there are some brutal truths in regard to blood pressure after the age of 55. My guess is that you're not going to like these. And also, statistically, the majority of people never even watch the entire video. What I would suggest is that you watch the entire video and learn from this, because this is probably going to save you a bunch of headaches. But I'm not you. So let's get into number one. Number one is that it took a long time to develop atherosclerosis, which is hardening of the arteries, which is the underlying reason why you're getting higher blood pressure. The lack of compliability, the lack of flexibility of your arteries does not happen overnight. It's not like at the age of 55 or 65 or 40 that suddenly your arteries just become hard. It doesn't work that way. It develops over a long period of time. So this idea that you're going to find some hack or some solution that's only going to take 2 minutes to lower your blood pressure, it's kind of silly. So the way to think of it is this. Think of your arteries as like garden hoses that are really flexible and compliant, and if you push a bunch of water through the fire hose, that it will expand and contract and relax. That's how you have to think of your arteries. But then when you have atherosclerosis, think of your arteries as like metal pipes that you could try to push water through those metal pipes. The more water you push through, the more pressure will occur, pushing up against the inside of the metal pipe, but it increases the pressure. That's what your arteries are like. That's what my arteries are like. That's what happens to all of us as we get older. If we eat crappy food as time goes on, as the older we get, the more likely the atherosclerosis is going to develop. Now, because of some genetic components and also our lifestyle, some people develop atherosclerosis a lot faster and sooner than other people. Life ain't fair, but that's the way it works. So to think that you're going to solve your blood pressure problem in just 2 minutes is silly. So my advice, the solution to this, is to stop looking for hacks. Stop trying to cure your blood pressure in 1 minute or 2 minutes. Start trying to think, if this developed over a period of time, then to reverse it or to improve it, it's going to take time. So the most important component of fixing blood pressure problems is consistency, doing the right things consistently over a period of time. It may take a couple years before your blood pressure starts to become normal. People that are overweight, meaning people that are 130 pounds overweight that have high blood pressure, have found that changing their diet helps their blood pressure, but it doesn't happen the first day you check your blood or change your blood pressure. You have to lose 130 pounds, which for some people can take 2 years. But be consistent and you can help the atherosclerosis. The second brutal truth is that you cannot supplement your way out of a bad diet. Many people are taking potassium supplements. They're taking magnesium supplements. They're taking all these different types of potions and powders, trying to change their blood pressure, but then they have a bad diet. Here's an interesting phenomenon that I've found. After 28, 29 years of practice, trying to help people improve their health, this is the weirdest thing. The people that are usually taking the supplements also have a good diet. The people that are not taking the supplements usually have a bad diet. It's kind of a conundrum. It's weird, but the people that are most interested in their health are usually willing to invest in supplements, and those types of people are usually the ones that are investing in healthy food. So occasionally you get people who are like, well, I just want to take a pill. They actually say that. They say, I don't want to change my diet. I just want to take a pill that's going to reduce my blood pressure. So then they start taking medication, a pill, and they find it has some side effects. So they start looking for different pills. But the pills or the powders or the potions are not going to outdo the bad diet. So if you're going to take supplements, you may as well go full bore into it and change your diet as well. The flip side of this equation is that, ironically, even with supplements, it doesn't replace a good diet, because there are nutrients inside certain foods that they just haven't been able to put into a tablet yet. So when people say, is a tablet as good as the actual food, the answer is no. A good example of this would be beets versus beetroot supplements. Beetroot supplements can help you lower your blood pressure. They can assist you in improving your health, but they don't replace actually eating beets. If you're going to pick one, pick the food. The same thing goes with magnesium. There's many magnesium-rich foods, such as an avocado or a banana. But taking a magnesium supplement doesn't replace eating those foods. Those foods will always work better than any type of supplement. So the solution, get your nutrients from food first, then add supplements later. The third brutal truth is it's really, when you come down to it, it's all about exercise. Exercise, if they can put exercise into a pill, trust me, they do it and sell it. One of the things that happens when you do cardiovascular exercise is it stimulates a gas inside your arteries called nitric oxide. And this gas will allow the blood vessels to become more compliant and more flexible and be have less pressure is really what it boils down to. That's the key. And what you'll find with dietary changes and exercise is that the real biochemical reaction that occurs that changes blood pressure all boils down to nitric oxide. So if you can do anything that stimulates more nitric oxide, whether it's deep breathing, exercise, supplements, food, that's really what it boils down to. Now, the fascinating thing about exercise is exercise has a 1-2 punch. When you exercise, you will stimulate nitric oxide production. Even as you get older, it doesn't occur as well as it did when you were 20, but it still will occur at this age. So it stimulates nitric oxide production. The second thing that happens is your body will actually stimulate enzymes to prevent the destruction of that nitric oxide. So compared to just eating well, exercise will stimulate the nitric oxide, but also it will inhibit the destruction of the nitric oxide. So when you exercise, you actually get a benefit that lasts even longer. As a general rule, it lasts for about a day, which people say, oh, well, what does that mean? Do I got to exercise every day? Yes, you do have to exercise every day. How often are you going to take your blood pressure medication that are giving you side effects? Every day. Why? You don't take blood pressure medication 3 times a week. You do it every day. The reason why is because it only really works for about a day. The same thing with exercise. Now, I kind of lied to you because there's actually a third benefit of exercise, and that is that the weight loss that occurs from it will eventually have a permanent solution to your blood pressure problem. Because if you can lose 100 pounds, 130 pounds, 50 pounds, even 20 pounds, you will reduce your blood pressure on a permanent basis. But the skeptic in me says, is it really permanent? Because in order to maintain that body weight, you have to continue to exercise. Now, let's say that you do not like exercise at all. You don't want to exercise, but you know there's benefits. What's the easiest, best type of exercise to do? Walking. If you can do 10,000, 20,000 steps a day, make sure that you're actually not just stepping back and forth and marching in place. Make sure you're going somewhere. Make sure you're actually huffing and puffing a little bit when you're exercising. Many people will say, I took 10,000 steps a day, but they never left their house. That's different than actually getting out of the house and going for a walk that is a pretty fast-paced walk. So get your exercise in, go for walks, walk with a fast pace, and you'll have a much better, easier time lowering your blood pressure. You hear that in the background? Hear that? That's the ambulance getting someone who, statistically, there's about a 50% chance that it's someone who had a heart attack. Which unfortunately brings us to number 4, genetics. We cannot change genetics. Some people are more prone towards heart attacks, strokes, because of their high blood pressure than other people. Some people, their blood pressure just runs high. Other people, their blood pressure just runs low. It's just a genetic thing. Just as some people get brown eyes, some people get blue eyes, some people get black hair, some people get red hair, our genetics sets the stage for our overall health. We don't like it, it's not fair, but who said life is fair? Now, many people will say, I disagree, genetics doesn't play a role, it's all about lifestyle. Really? Then how do you explain that sometimes 20-year-olds will have high blood pressure and they live a totally healthy life? They haven't even been on Earth long enough to develop the atherosclerosis. Or sometimes little kids will get cancer. And that's so unfair because it isn't like they smoked or had a bad diet or were exposed to environmental things. Maybe they were, but you can't explain everything through lifestyle. And it's a brutal truth that some people genetically have higher blood pressure than other people. Now, the million-dollar question is this a medical problem? There's a lot of controversy over this topic because some people run high, some people run low. It doesn't necessarily always mean that it's really a medical problem. We don't have to drug everyone to be below 120/80. And you'll find that some people that tend to run high, let's say 130, 135/85, and they start taking medications and they just get sick from the blood pressure medications. That's a clue that maybe you should just allow your blood pressure to be in its natural state for you, because that would be like saying everyone should be blonde and everyone with black hair and red hair, you just have to dye their hair. It just doesn't make any sense that everyone has to be the same number because our genetics are different. The only way to solve the genetics, the solution to it, just simply go back in time, choose different parents. The 5th and final brutal truth about blood pressure is the numbers don't stay the same all the time. Sometimes people will gravitate towards a number and go, oh, I have 130/90. And you're like, it's not your age. See, when you're 55 years old, you're 55 years old for the entire year. That's your number. But if your blood pressure is 130/90, that isn't it's not like your age, it's not your number. Because your numbers change throughout the day. When you first get up in the morning, your blood pressure might be kind of low. Then as you go throughout the day, your blood pressure will rise. Then, sometimes, depending on whether you eat coffee or sugar, or you eat or rest or have high stress, your blood pressure is just going like this all day long. It never stays one number. It's not a consistent number. The problem is that if you check your blood pressure when you're highly stressed, after having coffee, after walking up a flight of stairs, and then you're nervous or have anxiety, of course your blood pressure is going to be high at that moment. But throughout the day, if you're relaxed and don't have stress, your blood pressure could be totally normal. So your blood pressure can fluctuate, which is very confusing to most people because they get upset that they go to the doctor, the blood pressure's high. At home, the blood pressure's normal. The doctor gives them medication telling them they have high blood pressure, and then they get sick and feel awful with the blood pressure medication. And the reason why is because it was only high at the doctor's office because you probably had anxiety, you probably had white coat syndrome, you were probably stressed. Of course it's high at that time. I could go run around the building, run upstairs, and immediately check my blood pressure, and my systolic number will probably be through the roof. but then after 5 minutes, the blood pressure will go down. That's normal. So the unfortunate truth is the way we define high blood pressure or hypertension is it has to be tested under some guidelines so that you can get consistent testing protocols. Otherwise, if you just test at any other moment, people are going to have high blood pressure that are diagnosed with high blood pressure that don't even have it. So it has to be tested. And the key, and I want to thank you for staying with me on this video, the key is when you have hypertension, it's during rest. So it's called your resting blood pressure. When the doctor tests you, he's supposed to be testing your resting blood pressure, not your highly stressed after coffee, after getting in a fight with the spouse, after running up a flight of stairs blood pressure. No, you're supposed to be testing your resting blood pressure. And there's many mistakes that can be made when you check your blood pressure. So you have to do your own blood pressure at the same time, in the same way, in the same manner to get accurate results. So if you would like to learn all the mistakes that you could possibly make, I have 2 videos. One is right here and one is right here. This is the 11 mistakes and this is the follow-up video. So come back to both videos, watch these videos so you can learn mistakes that you typically make, and maybe your doctor's office is making the same mistakes, and that way you can learn to get accurate readings for your blood pressure, because blood pressure can be a serious problem, but there's some harsh realities we just have to deal with.